Hello there, beautiful people in our digital world. My name is Brian Steele, and I have the privilege of being the pastor at St. Paul United Methodist Church in Bloomfield Hills and Hazel Park United Methodist Church. And I'm back here with another 5-minute message for us today. Now, today is the final day of Black History Month. And we celebrate Black history because a lot of the achievements and contributions are, at best, sometimes overlooked, undervalued, and sometimes even flat out ignored in our history books. And in my own spiritual journey, as I've engaged with people of color and especially in the fields of theology and spirituality, they have been able to both inspire me and help me grow and challenge me. How Black people have experienced and viewed God has been a enlargement of my spiritual life. So today I just want to share for a few minutes about one of those individuals, an individual who honestly wasn't part of my theological education, but since then has grown into someone who I really feel like has some truth that we need to hear about. It's Dr. James Cone. A lot of times Dr. Cone is, at the very least, if not the creator, one of the giants of Black theology. Now, before I speak about Dr. Cone directly, I want to talk about that term, Black theology. This might be news to you, and it's a little theological nerdiness on my part, but there are, not only is there Black theology, there's feminist theology, there's Latinx theology, there's indigenous theology, there's queer theology. And all of these branches, all of these kind of schools of thought are worthy of critique. But what about the theology about someone like me, or written by me, a straight white male? What's the name for that? It's called theology. White male theology is considered the norm. Does that mean that theology written by people like me is wrong? No, of course not. But we've also dismissed the other schools of thought without properly critiquing our own what's considered the normative stance. And without us realizing that we have actually interpreted our theology, in part, through our own white male lens. And what we need is to bring all these schools of thoughts together, for them all to have a voice at the table, as equals. And in regards to Black theology, what we're focusing on today, there was part of an online course I took last year. Dr. Adam Clark said that Black theology isn't even about skin color, but it's about being in solidarity with the least of these. It's not about biology, but about solidarity, especially with those of whom Jesus lists in Matthew 25. And I found that description of Black theology very helpful. Because if you read Matthew 25, you can't help but be inspired and challenged. Now about Dr. James Cone. Dr. Cone is best known for what is called liberation theology, and that could very well be a new term for a lot of you out there. I heard about it only in the beginning of seminary, and it was only just a little brief snippet. So in recent years, I've tried to engage with it more. And liberation theology invites us toward an enfleshed spirituality. To recognize that we're not just called to the divinity of Jesus, the powerful king sitting at the right hand of God, but also the peasant Jesus, who had dirt underneath his fingernails, who was arrested and sentenced to death as an enemy of the state. And that's something that's not just for people with dark-colored skin. You know, Dr. Cone was a prolific writer and author. There are a ton of quotes that I could share from. But I thought I would share this one. It comes from his article that's called Theology's Great Sin: Silence in the Face of White Supremacy. To create an anti-racist theology, white theologians must engage the histories, cultures, and theologies of people of color. It is not enough to condemn racism. The voices of people of color must be found in your theology. You don't have to agree with their perspectives, but you do have to understand them and incorporate their meanings in your theological discourse. This is what whites almost never do. Again, it's not about coming to full agreement. No branch of theology is going to get the full picture. But we do need to invite them into the table. We do need to learn and engage with them. So friends, as we close out Black History Month, let us expand not only our theological life, whatever that may mean for you, whatever your spiritual life takes you, but let's just expand our life, period. Let's include those with identities other than ours. Because friends, I can promise you, if we do that with an open heart, Jesus will become even more meaningful in our lives. So it's worth it. Friends, that's it for today. I'll see you on Thursday for a word on Women's History Month, which starts tomorrow. We'll see you next time. Remember, God loves you, and there is nothing you can do about it.